Vrabel sounded open to playing Travis Hunter if he's the guy at 4 on both sides of the ball. But there was a caveat, Greg, talking about, he would like him to focus on one position first, correct?
Yeah, he basically said, like, to really get the most improvement, he's going to have a focus on a primary position. So it sounds like he's more of the mind, especially like as a rookie, or at least to start, like, let's just make sure he knows what he's doing at one position.
All right, so based on what Vrabel said about Campbell and based on Abdul Carter, I think as far as physically really fits what Vrabel likes to do at edge. And then you've got Travis Hunter. If Greg Bedard had to guess, and that's what it is right now, if Bedard had to guess how those guys are ranked right now by the Patriots front office, Mike Vrabel, what do you feel? Is it Hunter, Carter, Campbell? Is it Carter, Hunter, Campbell? How would you line those guys up right now on the board?
I would probably say it would be Carter, Hunter, then Campbell. And, just to further this and, going through some of the stuff, because, different people are talking at different times down here. It sounds like Abdul Carter's the guy for the Browns at 2. At 3, from the Giants beat writers, and it wasn't so much what GM Joe Shane said today. It's more about how he talks about things. And, of course, these guys, like, when we deal with Patriots people, we know sort of their history and how they discuss things. Their impression universally seemed to be that Hunter is going to be the guy, that they are not going to take Shedeur Sanders at 3, which would be a humongous bummer. Then again, it's flying season, but those beat writers, their feeling was it's going to be Travis Hunter at 3 for the Giants. And, if you're the Patriots, does somebody come up for Shedeur Sanders? That's what you're probably hoping for. That's probably the number one thing. But if that doesn't happen, I think my gut instinct right now, just where things are, I think it would probably be Will Campbell at 4.
I agree with you. Just the thought process of Vrabel building a football team from the inside out. If you look at Campbell, and without just I'm really tired of talking about arm length, so I'm not going to talk about arm length today. Mm-hmm. But if you look at his character, if you look at his approach, if you just look at how he plays the game, he certainly feels like a Mike Vrabel player, Greg. And I think at a certain point, Mike's going to look at this and say, yeah, you know what? Even if he ends up being a guard down the road, he could be an all-pro guard, and he's the kind of guy I want on this football team. So enough is enough. We're taking him. Correct?
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. I mean, that's my read that, he's just exactly the type of player that they want. And they don't really, actually, not really. They don't have one single person on that offensive line in that room that I would say is 100% solid Mike Vrabel type of guy, a foundational guy on the offensive line. And so drafting Will Campbell, whether he makes it a tackle or not, and kicks inside the left guard, and he's the next like Logan Mankins for the Patriots, which I don't think he'll be, but he might come close to that, which is fine. I think that the way they've sort of constructed this offseason as far as, bringing in targeted guys, especially on the defense at different places, like getting that foundational piece on the offensive line that's sort of going to be the straw that stirs the drink in that room for years to come, I think would be a priority for Mike Vrabel.
Have you watched more of Campbell since I last talked to you? If so, do you see him as a tackle right now? How likely do you think he can play tackle at the NFL level?
I have not watched any additional film yet, but my feeling still is I think he's going to have trouble with speed rushers on the edge. That's where he ran into issues in college. And to me, he is a guard, possible all-pro. Like I've said before, I see him a lot like Joe Thuney, but probably with more of a nastier physical edge than Joe Thuney, who is more of a technician, and which I think Will Campbell is as well. But I think that Will's got a little bit more, stuff to him, where a little bit more of an edge. And so, I see Campbell as a guard, but I think I think he's the type of guy that, like Tooney, like we saw this year, until his arms, which are shorter than Will Campbell's, finally he met a mismatch in the Super Bowl. But I think Campbell is going to be one of those guys like a Tooney that can get you by at left tackle until you maybe have an opportunity to address it a little bit more.